They took me off the campaign trail, but the good news is my poll numbers are the highest they've ever been, so at least we're getting the word out. And everybody knows this trial is a scam. It's a scam. The judge should be recused, and he should recuse himself today.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Donald Trump being held in contempt for violating the gag order on the Stormy Daniels quote-unquote hush money case in New York City. Now, this is a ridiculous thing, and we all know it. We know what it is. It's lawfare. It's a way to keep Trump in court, tied up in litigation, not being able to be on the campaign trail, not being able to go out there and make the case for himself to be the president again. We all know what it is. It's pretty simple. But beyond that, this is also a First Amendment crisis, in my humble opinion. Before we get to the First Amendment, let's go back a little bit and talk about the contempt. What is the punishment? Well, the punishment is very petty, because if the punishment goes beyond petty, then we get into some really serious issues with, again, the First Amendment. He is being fined 9,000 U.S. American cold hard cash dollars. That's it, $9,000. Talking about petty, I mean, really? We're talking about Donald Trump, one of the richest guys in the world, not just the USA, but the world. Listen, I know guys that sell hot dogs for a living that could pony up $9,000 in cash and pay that fine with no problem. The reason why that fine was given is because that's all that the judge can do. The judge threatened to lock Trump up if the gag order violation continued, but now, see, we're getting into a clear First Amendment violation territory. If you get locked up for calling Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels sleazebags, you have violated Donald Trump's First Amendment right. You know, I always see people say, you know, I got the First Amendment, freedom of speech. People often cite that incorrectly. What it really protects you from, in a nutshell, is from getting locked up for things you say that could be offensive. Now, I'm not really sure about yelling fire in a crowded theater, but calling somebody a sleazebag or saying that it's lawfare and it's unfair, I don't think that's grounds to get locked up, specifically under the First Amendment protection. Now, if you're living in a banana republic, we're living in somewhere that doesn't have no constitution, we live in somewhere like that, then I may understand. But in the USA, I don't think that's how things go. Now, there's a lot I want to get into. I want to get into reaction from right out there outside the courtroom. I want to get into the specific things, because there were some things that the judge said violated the gag order, and there was $1,000 fine for each thing. And I think everything was on Truth Social, but there were some things he said did not violate the gag order, which again, we're kind of in murky territory because of the First Amendment. Now, before I get into all that, here's a word from our sponsor. A lot of us are struggling with everyday bills due to inflation going through the roof, making everything extremely expensive. If you own a home and you're looking to save some money, I want you to call my friends over at American Financing. They're saving their customers an average of $854 a month by tapping into home equity and wiping out high interest credit card debt. $854 a month, that's like getting a $10,000 per year raise. Credit card interest rates are out of control, and many of us still carry a balance from month to month. If you call my guys over at American Financing, you may be able to skip your next month's mortgage payment. American Financing never charges any upfront fees. That's part of the reason why they have over 7,000 Google reviews with a 4.7 star rating. American Financing really helps you save money and get put into a better financial situation. So call them today to see what they can do for you at 866-890-9313. Again, that's 866-890-9313, or visit AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. So here we have an article from the Associated Press, AP. You see what it says. Judge holds Trump in contempt, fines him $9,000 and raises threat of jail in hush money trial. Let's keep on going here. And of course, I will link to everything in the box. Donald Trump was held in contempt of court Tuesday and fined $9,000 for repeatedly violating a gag order that barred him from making public statements about witnesses, jurors, and others connected to his New York hush money case. And if he does it again, the judge warned he could be jailed. Now, do you guys really think they're going to lock Trump up, Rikers Island, New York City? I highly doubt that it happened. That'd be a complete mess with Secret Service and the federales. That'd just be way too much. And maybe it won't be Rikers Island. Maybe it'd be a Fed joint. I don't even know. Regardless of what goes on, I don't see him getting locked up, especially since you're talking about a First Amendment crisis that would ensue afterward. But let's continue. Prosecutors had alleged 10 violations, but New York Judge Juan Merchan found there were 9. The ruling was a stinging rebuke for the presumptive Republican nominee who had insisted he was exercising his free speech rights. Trump stared down at the table in front of him as the judge read the ruling, frowning slightly. Unnecessary details, but whatever. Now, the judge wrote that he is keenly aware of and protective of Trump's First Amendment rights, particularly given his candidacy for the office of the President of the United States. Now, let's pause right here. I think this is more about the First Amendment than Donald Trump, because the judge and anyone in the situation understands that if there's a certain ruling that violates First Amendment, now we got a serious problem. You're talking about the First Amendment, a constitutional crisis. That'd be a problem that I don't think anybody really wants to face. They're kind of teetering on the edge of that, but I digress. It is critically important that the defendant's legitimate free speech rights not be curtailed, that he be able to fully campaign for the office which he seeks, and that he be able to respond and defend himself against political attacks. Still, he warned that the court could not tolerate or would not tolerate willful violations of lawful orders, and that if necessary and appropriate under the circumstances, it will impose an incarceratory punishment. Just because there's a lawful order that's violated does not mean that locking somebody up is the appropriate response. Sometimes a fine would do. You see guys all the time get hit with a fine for violating the law. So that's not always necessary. It's just trying to, just kind of bang his chest and assert his dominance. But in reality, I don't see Trump getting locked up for Truth Social posts ever in my life. And if you see that, again, it'd be a really big problem. Not just for the legal system, but you're talking about social unrest. That'll happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm not threatening that, but I'm just saying that is a possibility. And I think they know that, but I digress. The ruling came at the start of the second week of the testimony in a historic case. Manhattan prosecutors say Trump and associates took part in a legal scheme to influence 2016 presidential campaign by burying negative stories. He has pleaded not guilty. Okay, let's continue here. So the fine has to be paid by close of business Friday, and he has to remove 7 offending posts from Truth Social and 2 from his campaign website by 2:15 p.m. on Tuesday. So today, like right now. But isn't he in court? So how does that really work? I guess he's got to call his team and say, hey, take that down right now. But anyway, the judge is also weighing other alleged gag order violations by Trump, and we'll hear arguments on Thursday. This is just a bunch of back and forth. Now, here's where they kind of get into what was actually the violation, because there was one main thing, the whole sleazebags comment. I don't think that's part of the violation, but let's continue. Of the 10 posts, the one Merchan ruled was not a violation came on April 10th. A post referring to witnesses Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels as sleazebags. Merchan said Trump's contention that he was responding to previous posts by Cohen is sufficient to give him pause on whether the post was a violation. So basically the argument was, I can respond to attacks. You can't say that somebody can attack me politically and I can't say anything, especially in the context of me running for president. I can't just let stuff like that slide. I have the right to respond. I'm not necessarily talking about people that are in the case specifically beyond them talking about me first. And then here's something else. If there's a gag order on Trump, why is not a gag order on Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen? Why not them? Shouldn't it be a gag order on everybody? Why just Trump himself? Again, this looks like a way to engage in lawfare against the president so he's not able to be effective out there on the campaign trail. I don't see it as anything else other than that, but I digress. Among those he found to be violations, Merchan ruled that a Trump post quoting Fox News host Jesse Waters' claim that liberal activists were lying to infiltrate the jury constitutes a clear violation of the gag order. Merchant noted that the words contained within the quotation marks in Trump's April 17th post misstated what Waters actually said. Thus, in the court's view, this post constitutes the words of the defendant himself. So basically, if Trump was to quote Jesse verbatim, then that would not be Trump violating the gag order because Trump didn't say it. But since he interpreted what Jesse Waters said, according to the judge, then that is coming from the president. Therefore, it's a gag order violation. Talk about petty. I mean, good grief. Merchant cautioned the gag order not be used as a sword instead of a shield by potential witnesses, and that if people are protected by the order, like Cohen, continue to attack Trump, it becomes apparent they don't need the gag order's protection. Cohen has said he will refrain from commenting about Trump until after the testifies at the trial. So Michael Cohen is protected by the gag order, but Trump is not. It's just, again, you're just picking on Trump, trying to get him out the way, lawfare, and it's simple as that. So this trial is going to rage on in New York City, unfortunately. We're going to see a lot more from this. Will Trump get locked up for Truth Social posts? For their sake and the sake of the Constitution, I sure hope not. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that all of this rigmarole with the trial in New York City, Fulton County, Georgia, wherever, is just lawfare to keep Trump out of the way? Or do you think it's legitimate? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How about the gag order? Is it a First Amendment violation? And if the gag order is on Trump, then why is there no gag order against Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels? Why can't they say whatever they want, but Trump can't? And then when he responds to these people, you kind of like looking at it with a magnifying glass and a fine-tooth comb to pick out any kind of way that Trump could have violated the gag order. To me, it's just kind of, it's one-sided, it's all against one person, although there are others involved in the whole situation. Yes, the case is against him and the hush money or whatever, but there are others involved. If there's a gag order on the case, then let it be a gag order on the case rather than just one individual. I think that'd be fair. But of course, it's not about being fair. It's about trying to attack one guy because they do not want him to be president again. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.